What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Another end of the year list. We've already done most disappointing movies of the year, most surprising movies of the year, but now, kind of a focus on my channel, I normally review the latest Netflix movie or television show review. I have TV show lists coming, but right now, I want to focus on my personal favorite Netflix movies of the year. And it's very different from last year, because last year I had to kind of search around to find some to fill those final couple of spots in my top 10. But this year, man, Netflix, they've stepped up their game now. We got some bad movies from Netflix this year, and that list is coming tomorrow. But today, we're focusing on the good. But there haven't just been good movies. I mean, some of my favorite movies of the year. Movies in my top 10 overall list, which is coming next week. They are on this list, so I cannot wait to give you guys my personal favorites. Once again, I'm not saying the movies on this list are technically the best. It's a mix of that and how much they impacted me and whether or not I would recommend them to a friend. If you guys want more streaming-related videos, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and let me know. I'm thinking about doing more, best Netflix series. I will do it. If you guys want it, just let me know. Before I get into my top 10, I do want to give you guys some honorable mentions, movies that did not quite make my top 10, but still movies that I genuinely enjoyed. So to round out my honorable mentions, we have I Am Mother, which is a really good sci-fi movie, a bit slow, but one that hit me hard. The Two Popes, just reviewed it on my channel. I liked it, didn't love it, but it's still worth a watch. Paddleton. Paddleton is an emotional gut punch. It didn't quite stick with me like other emotional movies on Netflix this year, but it's still really good. The Perfection. You want to watch a really weird, messed up, slightly horror but more thriller movie, check that one out. And then Triple Frontier. A lot of people didn't enjoy it. I really liked it, man. Ben Affleck, Charlie Hunnam, a great cast, really good chemistry, Pedro Pascal, a nice ending. It's not the most memorable action movie of the year, but it's one on Netflix I would recommend. They're honorable, yes, but they are not number 10 on my list. Number 10 is Rolling Thunder Review, a Bob Dylan story by Martin Scorsese. Austin, Martin Scorsese did 2 Netflix movies this year? Yes. Yes, he did. We'll talk about the other one here in just a second, but this one is a documentary that I thought was just outstanding. I mean, an outstanding documentary focused on someone who pretty much everyone knows and loves, Bob Dylan. If you're a Bob Dylan fan, I think you're going to really, really enjoy this. This is a fever dream concert film that takes a lot of time out to just let Bob Dylan sit and play music, but it also focuses on America in 1975 and just Bob Dylan kind of going around the country and playing his music, but it captures the mood and the feeling that you got. I mean, this captures the time period, probably better than any other movie I've seen this year. Yes, it's cheating, it's a documentary, you get to use that footage, but the way that Scorsese goes about bringing this footage together, telling a story mostly through music, but really through brilliant filmmaking, I thought was awesome. Now, I love a good documentary. This isn't necessarily one that I will probably go back to, one that I will revisit, one that stuck with me from an entertainment standpoint, but while I was watching it, it was fascinating. It is a great, not a good, a great documentary. If you love documentaries, if you love Martin Scorsese, if you love Bob Dylan, definitely check this one out. Number 9 is a movie that a lot of people found slow. I saw the comments, and people were like, oh, I had to trudge through this movie, and I get it. It's a slow-moving film. It's not one for everyone. But The King is one that really impacted me, man. I can't lie to you. I think Timothée Chalamet did a really good job. Joel Edgerton really stole the film for me. He gives one of his best performances, but Sean Harris, Lily Rose Depp is in this movie. It is a stacked cast all around, but it tells the story of a king who really has to come to terms with himself and the fact that he now has to lead these people into this battle at the end of this movie, which is epic. Now, I do kind of agree that it takes a while to get there, and the build-up may not quite get there for everyone. I know I keep compensating for the fact that I like the movie, but I really, really enjoy this, man. I think it is a great little film that I think a lot of people are going to overlook, featuring some of the best performances I've seen this year. And what really got me about The King, other than the performances, is the look to it all. The realistic just feel that you get following Chalamet's character around. The battle is so just dirty and rough. Robert Pattinson is delivering a very odd accent, but I loved him in the movie, man. I loved his performance, but the look, man, some of the best shots I've seen all year. The camera movement, the pans, and just the following of the characters. I like stuff like that, so The King really worked for me. If you like a good period piece based around Henry V, then then watch this one. Next up, man, we're doing a complete 180. We're going from a period piece movie based around a king to an appearance from the king and Keanu Reeves. This has always been my maybe, and I say that because Keanu Reeves comes in this movie at the end and really just, I mean, it's the Keanu-sance this year, but he's having quite the year. Steals the show with the humor, playing himself. It's brilliant. Everybody wants to focus on that. Let's focus on the fact that this is a good movie. This is one of those rom-coms, and you're going to see some rom-coms on the bottom of my list tomorrow. There were also one or two rom-coms that came out this year, and I enjoyed. Someone Great wasn't a movie that I loved, but I liked. It was okay on Netflix. But this one, Always Be My Maybe, really captures a great relationship between really good actors. Ali Wong, Randall Park, their chemistry is fantastic. It's a cliched story. It's a predictable story, but it's one that's handled in this quirky, upbeat, fun, joke-telling way, and I was giggling all the way throughout. I mean, I've seen the movie before packaged in a different light, but Always Be My Maybe, there's something about this that makes me feel like I want to go back and revisit it, and I might even like it more. Cracks my top 10 on Netflix. Who would have thunk it? Next up is a French animated film called I Lost My Body. This is a story centered around the character of Naufel, a young man who is in love with a character by the name of Gabrielle. Now, in another part of town, while this is going on, there is a severed hand, that's right, Addams Family, just crawling around, looking for its lost body. Now, Austin, how do these two stories intersect? How does this movie feel cohesive? Well, it does. Because the way these two stories somehow manage to cross each other, it's done in such an incredible way. The animation is gorgeous, and the story of our main character is really a heartbreaking one just because of what he went through in his past, the tragedy that follows him all throughout his life, really giving up what he's good at just because of, what went on early. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to get too far into it, but this is a beautiful animated movie. If you want to watch an artistic animated film. Now, if a slower moving artistic animated movie is not for you, I've seen some comments online saying, well, this was a waste of 90 minutes, then don't watch it. But if you like those kinds of things, if you want to see some beautiful animation, I Lost My Body is one I would recommend on Netflix. Next up, this is one that was actually a bit higher on my list, but upon pondering and reflection, I moved it down just a little bit. This is another documentary. This is the Fyre documentary. Now, there were two Fyre documentaries that came out this year, one on Hulu, one on Netflix. This one, just Fyre, is the one that I responded to the most. This one I was captivated, because while I knew what kind of went on with the Fyre Festival and all of the lies that went out, and this guy just straight up BSing a lot of people that believed it, and just chaos that ensues from this one lie, it was fascinating. It was funny, and I hate to say funny, but it was just fun to watch because I just didn't know anything about the true story. And when you don't know something like this and you start learning about what went on in these characters' minds and the fact that people were losing their minds, and it's something that a lot of people joke about, and I just said the movie was, kind of entertaining to watch, but it's not something that you should joke about, because a lot of people lost a lot of things here. People were being threatened and chaos was ensuing, like I said. I mean, if you've never heard of the Fyre Festival, go watch this documentary. I'm recommending this to everybody. I'm like, you just gotta go watch it. Whether you like the documentary or not, I think it was a really good, well-paced documentary and one that kept my attention the entire time. Maybe not as good structure-wise as the Rolling Thunder review, but entertainment-wise, for me, it comes in at number 6 on my list. Next up is Klaus. Now, Klaus, you guys saw my most surprising movies of the year. It was on that list. I expected nothing from Klaus. And, oh my God, this movie's great. This movie redefined Santa Claus for a new generation. And a movie that attempts that is one that I sit back and I go, you got a lot of guts, man. You got a lot of guts for doing what you're doing. But you nailed it. This film nails everything you want about a Christmas movie. It is, in my opinion, destined to become, hopefully enough people watch it, a new Christmas classic. A great voice cast, gorgeous animation. Talked about I Lost My Body. This animation is just as beautiful, a gorgeous story, and one that's heartfelt and really funny. Is everything you want in a Christmas movie. If you've already went through your Christmas movie catalog, I mean, we're a couple of days away, and you want to watch something new, watch Klaus. Dolomiti is my name. This is the brand new Eddie Murphy film, and I've been hearing for quite a while Eddie Murphy, he's back, man. And I'm sitting back going, okay. Because I've been hearing the same old tired thing for a long time. Eddie Murphy coming back in this movie, and every now and then we'll get a drama that will come out. I can't remember what the one was called that came out last year, but nobody watched it. It got critically panned, and I felt so bad for the guy because I love Eddie Murphy. He deserves what he is getting right now, and the reason he's getting that is because Dolomite Is My Name is not just a fun movie. It's not just super entertaining. It's not just a heartfelt story. In the same vein of The Disaster Artist, now I think The Disaster Artist maybe structurally is a bit better of a film, but this one's probably more entertaining. I mean, Dolomite Is My Name is full of pure, unadulterated energy. And while I don't think it's, the leading contender for Best Picture, I do think Eddie Murphy should be in conversation. Now, at this point, I have him right outside of my top 5 best male performances of the year in the lead actor category. But he's there. He's in the honorable mentions. He should be talked about. If he somehow slides in that number 5 spot, you're not going to see me complain because I thought his performance was incredible. He captures everything you want, the heart, the magic, the intensity, and he is Dolomite. Eddie Murphy is Dolomite. This movie's so great for his career. I'm so happy to see it. And all of the supporting performances, Wesley Snipes, heck, Keegan-Michael Key, everybody's good in this movie. It's just super fun. Go watch it. Now, a movie that I don't think is as fun is Dolomite Is My Name. And I'm not going to sit here and say, well, if you're a Breaking Bad fan, you're going to love El Camino, because I know plenty of Breaking Bad fans that were really disappointed in El Camino. And I get it, because this isn't a movie that's full of action. It doesn't have the pacing of some of the better Breaking Bad episodes. I am the world's biggest fan of Breaking Bad. It is my number 1 favorite show of all time. Spoilers for my favorite shows of all time list. It's on my channel somewhere. El Camino, for me, captured the spirit of the show and gave me closure for Jesse in a very different way than I expected. And I'm not going to say what that closure is in case you haven't seen the film, and I'm not going to say, exactly what happens to his character who returns. Now, we get our cameos, we get references to the show, we get all of those glorious things. But El Camino just affected me because it's so artistic, so beautifully shot, so devastating in a way. And for me, it was the Breaking Bad movie that I wanted, just not the one that I knew that I wanted. Yes, it's slow-paced, and you're going to see that for my number 3, my number 2, and my number 1. Slow-paced films that just aren't exciting. But I feel like Netflix knew what they were doing with this one. And El Camino, while it does slightly feel like a TV movie, I just think that's honestly because Breaking Bad is a TV show. And it feels like a capper for that. It feels like it belongs in this world. What a great performance from Aaron Paul. My number 2, now, it's going to throw some people off, because I know everybody's expecting me to say this at number 1, or at least most people are, because my number 1 is one that I've been seeing some stuff on Twitter about, and it's just like, guys, I'll explain when I get there. My number 2 is The Irishman. Take nothing away from The Irishman. When my top 10 movies of the year list comes out this week, you will see this on that list, because The Irishman is a brilliant movie. No freaking doubt. Scorsese killed it with this film. Killed it. One of his best movies in years. One of my favorite movies of his. I love it. But I do slightly appreciate and like one movie a bit better. Now, what's the knock on The Irishman? There really isn't one. 2019 has been one of my favorite years for movies in recent history, not because of the blockbusters. The blockbusters have come out and left, and there have been a few that have really hit me. Some of those that will be my favorite movies of the year, but overall, mostly the big budgeted films, the one you see commercials for on television, they just haven't nailed it for me. What's hit me really hard are the smaller movies. Not to say The Irishman is a small film, because this is a massive budgeted movie, but it has the heart of a smaller movie, as the best Scorsese movies do. And what he did with these characters in a 3.5-hour film, now I think that's the biggest detriment. Yes, it is a bit too long in my opinion, but it's such a minor nitpick and complaint for a movie that just captured me from beginning and never let me go until the end. And I think the performances are just magnificent. The fact that Robert De Niro did not get nominated for a couple awards now for Best Lead Actor is really starting to get to me, man. I'm like, all right, did you watch the movie? I mean, this is his film. Say what you will about the side performances. Pacino deserves an Oscar nomination. Pesci deserves an Oscar nomination. But De Niro's movie is The Irishman. This is his film. He has to carry it from beginning to end. He's giving such a fantastic performance, the way that they utilize voiceover, as they do in the best the Martin Scorsese gangster films. But The Irishman is really coming from it, approaching it from a different perspective. It's looking back on your life, maybe regretting a few choices here and there, as opposed to going through your life at the prime age, living it, experiencing it. It's just from perspective, it's a different movie from what Scorsese has done in the past. And I feel like he's doing the same thing. He's looking back upon his career and really just appreciating it, embracing it, questioning some choices, I'm sure. But Scorsese, man, what a brilliant, brilliant filmmaker. But a movie that I like, just... We're talking like, Austin, who's your favorite kid? I make this comparison all the time. I don't have kids, but if I had to choose one, it would be very difficult. I'm having to do this now because I'm making a list, but if you ask me in 10 days which one's your favorite movie, I could change my mind because they're both brilliant. But my number one is Marriage Story. Yeah, I know. I've seen the tweets, people taking the 2-minute scene out of context and saying, well, that's not acting. They're just yelling at each other, but... we often forget that movies aren't just 2 minutes. No, we don't. There is an hour and, 30, 40 minutes prior to that emotions are building within these characters, because regardless of what you feel about that clip, the rest of the film is very subtle, because they're constantly friendly with each other in the midst of this divorce when they should be attacking each other, being hostile like they are in that scene. They are just very subtle about the entire thing, and the way that Noah Baumbach approaches this is, in my opinion, the most realistic, or one of the more realistic relationships I think I've ever seen on screen. I'm not kidding. It is insane how I perceived this couple as a couple that actually exists, and of course, that's a major testament to Adam Driver, who is brilliant in this movie. We don't deserve Adam Driver. And let's take a look at the year he's having, by the way. Some great performances, a blockbuster in Star Wars, The Report, and Marriage Story. Are you kidding me? And then Scarlett Johansson, who I believe delivers the best performance of her career. Now, I think she honestly has a better shot of winning Best Supporting for Jojo Rabbit than she does in Marriage Story. But I actually like her performance in Marriage Story better. One, she's the lead, but two, she has so much emotional range. She's so good at allowing us to feel the devastation on her face, man. Now, the movie does shift focus just a bit and focus a bit more on Driver's character, but they're both great. And along with the performances, it's the direction. It's the score from Randy Newman, who normally does Pixar films. And I was getting Pixar vibes throughout the entire movie, just the way that this movie feels. I'm just like, oh, that's Randy Newman. So the score really amplifies it and makes it feel like that. And they take artistic and creative decisions in this movie. I'm just like, that. I wouldn't have done it any other way. I say that throughout the film. I can't really find a flaw with this movie other than the fact that it's maybe a bit too much at times, but even then, it's like Marriage Story really does everything right. And I get it. If you don't love this movie, that's fine. If you feel like it's one that goes on too long and it's just too they're overdoing it, this and that, but let me encourage you, if you've only seen that one clip of the two yelling at each other, which is, in my opinion, one of the best directed, most well-done scenes of the year, watch the rest of the film. Allow these characters to build up to that point, because how many times have you done that as a couple, as a married couple? If you've been through a divorce, you let things build up and then you just lose it. You snap. I've done it 1,000 times, and maybe that's why this movie is sticking with me so much, is because I've never been through a divorce, but I've been there. We've all been there. Whether it's a couple, a friendship, this, that, with your parents, whatever, we've all been there, right? And the way that they handle this is just so beautiful. The use of voiceover, and then the ending is just so emotional, and they do answer many questions that I don't think a lot of people are catching on to with very subtle things, and that comes down to the direction, which I just thought was gorgeous in the movie. So Marriage Story is my favorite movie on Netflix this year, but The Irishman, I mean, 1A, 1B, if you will, they're both brilliant movies. I can't believe Netflix has two of my favorite movies of the year. I just can't believe it. Like, this is a massive year. It's a big deal, guys. It's a big deal for streaming. It's a big deal for Netflix. These other studios now have to catch up in the awards race just because they've been killing it so much, and there are more movies coming out next year. I believe, if I heard right, Fincher's film is coming out on Netflix next year. There's you another one. So let me know in the comments down below. Was this a list that worked for you? What is your list? What is your top 10? If you enjoy these kinds of videos, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It helps out this channel, and it tells me you want more things like this. Thank you so much. This was so much fun Regardless of if you agree or disagree, these are my favorite movies on Netflix, but I'd love to know if I missed a film and it's brilliant. Most likely didn't see it, but I saw about 70 Netflix movies this year, so I think I watched most of them. You guys are the best. Stay tuned, because with the good comes the bad, and that's coming tomorrow morning. I'll see you soon.